Hi guys, welcome back to Getting Juicy with Jerry. Today we have Mathew, who is one of the world's best squash players.
Was.
Was. There we go. So first of all, I've talked to a lot of my friends about this, like, oh, do you know what squash is? And not many people do. I feel
Okay,
like you either know it and you know everything about it, or you
sure.
just don't have a clue.
No, that's fair.
So can you explain what the rules are, what it is?
Yeah. Well, it's probably one of those sports where I don't know if I like the word niche, but it's kind of one of those sports that you say that
I would say it's a niche.
if you're
Yeah.
into it, you're kind of obsessed.
Yeah.
And everyone sort of has maybe, certainly, maybe, I mean, that's a sign that we need to get the younger generation a
Oh
bit more
yeah, I think
engaged
so, yeah.
because it's probably one of those sports that was at its peak maybe 20, 30 years ago, and it's still good now, but we haven't
Yeah.
got like enough, so I mean enough players. So I mean it's a racket sport. You're in a four wall court with your opponent, and you're hitting against the wall and trying to beat them, so you've got lines and that you've got to be restricted where you can hit it. And yeah, it's very physical because sort of think tennis where you're trying to beat the other person,
Yeah.
but you're sometimes next to somebody and sometimes even bumping into each other, and you're trying to hit the ball sort of and make it bounce twice before they get it. So it can be very physical, almost like a cross between a bit of boxing without the
Yeah.
physical
Yeah.
punching, but a racket sport like tennis, you've got that kind of, and it challenges you. I think it's always been voted one of the hardest sports in the world in
Oh,
terms of the
really?
number of calories you burn per hour, and
Wow.
it's intense. Yeah, which is why I'm probably sitting, my body's like a bit broken over many years, like two knee surgeries, things like that.
Really?
But yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
So what started your love for squash? Like, can we go back to the very start?
yeah. I wouldn't say it was a love for squash straight. It was a love for any sport.
Yeah.
I've just a sort of a sporty geek when I was a kid. My dad was a PE teacher at
Yeah.
High Stores in Sheffield, and I used to just, from a young age, go after school to meet him. I'd walk up from the primary school up the road, and I'd either join in with the older kids, or I'd play in with another friend in the gym, or cricket, football, badminton, tennis, sports that you sort of made up because you were bored and you just, we didn't have
Yeah.
the
Technology and
technology that
stuff.
we do
Yeah.
now. And that was that generation of, I'm 45 now, so probably sort of growing up probably in the 90s, you were just tracking on and you were out playing sport, and that was the thing that you did, and
Yeah.
that's all I did. And it's hard to know what pulled me towards squash as such, other than the fact that both parents played, and it's one of those sports where
Oh, so did both of your parents play
my mum like
squash?
less so, but my dad would
Yeah.
loads. And it's one of those sports where it's in a club and you can feel quite safe as a kid there. So my parents would play, and then they'd maybe afterwards go for a beer or a chill.
Yeah.
And I'm running around the club and running around the courts just until 10 o'clock at night, and you ended up playing a bit yourself. And then it kind of went from there. And
Oh.
I liked it because I liked the family sense of it. Once you're in that sport, you meet a lot of like-minded people, and everyone was super friendly. And I played tennis as a kid. I didn't always feel that. It was a little bit that everyone's looking at you going, they're a
Yeah.
bit suspicious of you, or who are you? And you're trying to, and I didn't find people very friendly in that sport. And my kids have played. I have nothing against it, but I just found squash a bit more. I made friends, and that made me want to come
Oh,
back.
yeah. That always
We all
makes things
gravitate
better.
towards what our
Yeah.
friends do a little bit at that age. And I met loads of friends, and then I wanted to go and do it again the next week, and the next, and so on.
So when did it become a career?
I think at the age about 16, I was thinking about maybe university and what I was going to do, and I thought I want to go. I want to play squash, and my parents weren't too happy.
Oh,
They
really?
wanted me to go to uni, and we made a deal that I could have 2 or 3 years on the tour and go and travel the world and meet lots of new people. And I came at a good age. We just got the lottery funding came in for the first time, which helped me start off with some flights and helped me with my
Yeah.
training, things like that. And I did, and the deal was that if it wasn't going that well, I could then always go back to uni at kind of
Yeah.
and
Well, that's the thing with uni. You can kind of do it whenever, really.
and then it sort of went all right, and I was
Mm.
because so kind of then kept on going, and
Yeah.
just so from age 18 basically went and started traveling out of a suitcase and with squash rackets and just sort of wandering around the world trying to hitting a ball against a wall for a living, and
Yeah.
it sort of kind of escalated
Yeah.
from there.
So, what has been your biggest achievement?
Biggest achievement, I won 3 world titles, so that
Insane.
was and got to world number one for 19 months in total. So
Yeah.
the rankings came out, they come out every week now, but at that time it was every month, and I managed to
Mhm.
be sort of on top of those for 19 months. And when it's kind of a weird feeling if someone sort of describes you as being the best in the world, and you're like, wow, there's a lot of people in the world. They don't all play
Yeah.
squash, obviously. They don't all obviously play
Yeah.
squash, but it was quite a cool
Definitely.
feeling. And I, that you can sort of, I guess you can have that always next to your
Mhm.
name, even when I'm hopefully 100 years old. You can still
You can still
say that,
tell
yeah,
people, yeah.
yeah. And I guess I
Definitely.
will at that age. You'll say, "Hey, did you know back in the day I was good at that?"
Well, yeah, you can say
But I
you
think when you're
were
older,
the
you've got
world
that.
best.
When you're older, you've got that. I'm already
Yeah.
there at 45 for home. I'm already starting to remind people because they've forgot. So,
Have you won anything else?
what outside of squash?
Well, you can tell us that.
Yeah, I might. I don't know. I might have. I don't think I ever won a singing contest or anything like that. I've got an awful singing voice. I won a couple of Commonwealth Games gold
Really?
medals,
Wow.
which was good.
Yeah.
It was the Commonwealth Games. Squash has only just become Olympic sport, so
Mhm.
that was like our Olympics at the time. And one of the years I got to carry the flag for Team England in Glasgow, which was very cool, but also very nerve wracking
Oh, I'm
because
not
I just thought
surprised.
it was at Celtic Park in Glasgow. There's about
Mm.
60,000 people there. They're always the biggest fans of the
Mm.
English, the Scots. So I was just
Yeah.
thinking, I was just walking around with this flag, and it was pretty heavy and it was windy, and it's a ginormous
Mm.
thing, and I was like, don't trip up, don't trip up.
Imagine.
So that was a pretty cool, yeah, that was a pretty cool, that would
Yeah.
have been a meme forever,
Oh.
and they would have loved it in Scotland. So
Mm.
anyway, I just was walking around just going, don't mess it up, don't mess it up, don't
Mhm.
trip up. So
Well,
that
you
was pretty
didn't,
cool.
so.
That was something outside of squash. 'Cause I think when you get into your sport, it can be
Mm.
like squash, 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 or same in other sports. So when you come into something
Yeah.
like that, you mingle with the swimmers and the athletics and netball and uh,
I love
every different
netball.
sport, and that was very cool
Yeah.
because you're outside of your bubble. So that was a
Mhm.
really cool experience. Yeah.
So, who were your biggest, iconic rivalries?
In the sport, squash is sort of, it's a funny one because it
Mhm.
is a global sport. So
Yeah.
you play people South America and from Australia and
We watched you,
America.
didn't we, once in Qatar? So
You
I
lived
think
in
we did.
Qatar for a while, and I
Yeah.
played probably different nationalities and stuff. But the ones that are the best are the
Yeah.
Egyptians.
Oh.
So I don't know if you remember, I ever played, like, the Egyptians were
Mm.
probably, there was 2 or 3 Egyptians. There was Rami Ashur was one. There was a guy called Amr Shabana. Mohammed El Shabaghi was 10 years younger than me, and he was coming through, and he was a
Wow.
beast. I had a rivalry with a French player, that England-France thing called Gaultier, who was but really weirdly, one of my biggest career rivals was 30 miles down the road from Pontefract, a guy called James Wilstrop, and
Oh,
we sort
really?
of didn't always see. We were sort of in the England team,
Yeah.
but it was a bit sort of like a bit
I know what you mean.
clashy. It
Yeah.
was a bit Man United v Liverpool when we
Yeah.
played, or yeah, and we weren't best of friends.
Mm.
So it's funny that you go all around the world, but you could play someone from like half an hour away in the
Yeah, that is
final.
weird.
So that was always fun. But I think with most of the people, squash is a sport like that, it's intense. You're in each
Yeah.
other's space, but usually 99 times out of 100, the sport has that culture of then once it's done, everyone sort
Mhm.
of goes, "Oh, that was fun," and everyone, there's
Oh,
quite a nice
yeah.
separation there.
That's good.
Yeah,
Who's been the most famous person you've ever met?
famous person I've ever met. Gosh, oh, funny because we're quite good friends with Jess.
Yeah, I'm
Like
gonna say Jess.
Jess Ennis is a close family friend. However, we've been on a couple of trips with her, and you go to some countries and nobody knows who she is. In fact, funny story, recently we had a group trip to Spain, and there was a couple of American people there, and they recognised me from squash,
Oh,
and they
really?
asked Jess to take a picture with me. So I was like giving it one of these to Jess, because that's kind of normally people will come up to me and go, "Oh, can you give me? Can you take a photo of me?" So that's quite funny. I think possibly the royal family, when I got an OBE for squash, so I met a few members of the royal family when I went to Buckingham Palace and got the sort of award, and that was nice. So I met the Queen and whatnot, so that was quite cool.
That is really cool. So you mentioned earlier, when you were holding that flag and you were really stressed. So I imagine that you've had very many stressful situations. What do you do to deal with the pressure?
Gosh, I think firstly, in a sport like mine, you've got to remember, have good perspective. You've got to remember that it is the most important thing in the world to you at that time, but it's not life and death.
Yeah.
So I think having a bit of perspective to being like, otherwise the losses you have will just hit you too hard, and then you're kind of beating yourself up for days and days. And imagine you lose 50 times in a year. That's almost half the year. Let's say each one took you 3 days to get over. That's half the year gone.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's just remembering, look, it's only a game.
Yeah.
Even though you want to do your best, it is only a game. I think sometimes that's good to just separate you in the moment. But sort of apart from that, just breaking it down into like small one thing at a time, like one shot at a time, one rally at a time, because definitely when you get in those pressure moments, you can be, especially if you get close to winning something, you can get excited. Oh my God, I'm gonna do it. I remember in the Worlds final that I won the first time, I just managed to completely shut myself off from the score, because I felt myself going like, oh my God, I'm going to be world champion.
Yeah.
And then when I actually won, I didn't realize I'd won, because I was almost just
blanked it out.
It out. So I think it's like anything, you get better at dealing with something as well. The more you do it, and the more you put yourself in that. So like you'll be like a seasoned pro now at these podcasts, because you've been doing, you've been doing 17 of them. You told me this is
it's my 18th. I think it is.
So it's like anything. I'm sure the first couple you're probably a bit nervous.
Oh yeah.
And then you probably get more into it. It's only like that. You train for it, don't you? So it's probably no different.
So can you tell us what a typical week looked like in your peak?
In the peak, gosh, it was 6 days a week training.
What was your day off?
Outside Sunday, always a Sunday off. I like to go and enjoy a bit of a cheat day, go and have my mum's Yorkshire pudding Sunday lunch. My mum makes the best Sunday lunch. We all say our mums make the best Sunday lunch in the world, but my mum is great. So I used to do that, train 6 days, twice a day, mix of gym work, court work, fitness, then
very intense,
strengthening, stretching. The thing with squash is you have to be a bit of a master of different things. You have to be strong, but you have to be flexible. You have to have endurance, but you've got to be fast. So it's quite hard to sometimes find the time to train everything.
Yeah. I think
so
I'd die.
Your week was, and ultimately it's hard. So your training's got to be high intensity. So some evenings you'd just come back and it was like the sofa. You were just like that. And then as you get older, you're a bit more careful of picking days off and things like that. But when you're younger, it's just like hard work.
Yeah.
And
but it paid off. So
good advice, hard work.
Yeah.
And just repeat. Look after yourself. Eat well.
Yeah.
Sleep well. A bit of sacrifice. Not too many a few Friday nights out, but like not. You have to pick the right time for them.
Yeah, I remember they said to me when I was playing netball and I went into South Yorkshire, like I was in that team, and they said you have to go on a run every day, you have to be on a diet, and then I packed it in.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because I didn't want to do it. It was too much.
Well, that's when they say that's the harder. The matches side is actually the easy bit. That's the fun bit. It's getting up and going for a run at 7 a.m. when it's windy and rainy and freezing, and you kind of got to do it if you want to, otherwise someone else will.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Yeah.
So,
how has your relationship with squash changed since you retired?
Yeah.
When did you retire?
I retired in 2018.
Yeah.
I was 30, so it was a nice round number. I had 20 years on tour from when I was 18 until just before my 38th birthday, and I think I got out at the right time because the body was just starting to break down.
Oh, really?
The last tournament I played, I looked like a mummy because I was taped up with, there was an injury here and something there, and it just was, I can't keep going on like this. It's ridiculous. And I think to start with, it was funny because I had a couple of years and I was just sort of trying to build that post career, and then there was COVID hit.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a bit of a funny time, especially for squash, the nature of the sport. You're in each other's space, you're sweating a lot, breathing heavily. It's like the worst sport for COVID possible. So that sort of changed things a bit. And I think I always remember now, even if you get busy, I run my own academy, I'm traveling a bit, doing various things in the sport, but I do try to appreciate it, because...
Do you still play?
I play a bit,
Yeah,
but not
as,
like I was before. It's more like training the next generation and stuff. But I do just enjoy sometimes getting out on the court and just having a game for myself. The level's not as good. But I think the relationship now is I just appreciate it more than ever. I think when you're playing, I was guilty of thinking that it was going to last forever. Like probably when I saw it in Qatar, I was a bit like, oh, I lost today, like we're back tomorrow. And you're like, oh, before you know it, it's the end of your career, and now it's sort of just appreciating that I won't be able to charge around the court forever.
Do you
and
miss
I won't
it?
be able to. I don't miss it because I think that I stopped at the right time, and I think I had a good 20 years. I think if an injury had have stopped me, I might have felt
that would have
regrets,
been
but I
annoying.
sort of went out, I think, on my terms, which helps.
That's the best way, I think.
I think so, yeah.
So you mentioned your academy. Can you tell us about that, what it is, why you started it?
Yeah, I just sort of thought, when I was playing, I was a little bit on my own in Sheffield, and I had to travel for my coaching, and then I had to travel to get good training partners. And I just thought, right, can I set something up in Sheffield where I get a base of players, coaches, trainers, facilities that people might from all around the world want to come to? And it's been hard because some players come and go, you know what, that was all right, but I'm going to get his want for me, and that's fine. Other people love it, and we sort of have at the moment full-time players. We've got someone from India who's moved over, someone from Canada. We've got a South African player coming next week. We've got players who've moved over from New Zealand, as well as your sort of British players as well. So we've got sort of a mix of there's a Portuguese girl, there's a mix of nationalities that have sort of ended up finding a way to Sheffield for squash, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. So what is one moment in your career that you'll never forget?
Career, I think, look, you always have to say, my wife will get me in trouble if you don't just say, like, when you had kids, because I know it's not career, but I have to just mention that because there is nothing like it. Like, your life changes. Everyone says, and you don't realize it until it happens, but it does change. Career-wise, I think it was probably that event I told you when I did the flag, because I had knee surgery 5 weeks before that event, that Commonwealth Games, and I was told that it was 50-50. And then I ended up winning the gold medal in that, and it was a bit of a sort of a pinch me moment, because you sort of had been training for it for 4 years, and then you thought it wasn't going to happen, and then it did. So I think it was probably one of the worst matches I ever played in terms of the quality. It was scrappy, it was horrible. The other player was a bit injured as well. We were both just battling demons, but I got over the line. I kind of crawled over the line, but it was one of those, it always stick with me because of
I'm not surprised if you got told you might not be able to
play.
Yeah,
well, sort of 4.5 weeks before, I was on crutches.
Really?
So that was I think just a testament to sort of being able to battle back from adversity type thing. Was fun. I wouldn't say it was fun. Wrong word. It was fun looking back at. Fun looking back.
So just one last question before we leave. If you weren't a squash player, what would you be doing?
I have to say that I'd be involved in sports somehow.
Yeah.
Just because I said earlier I was just a geek. Maybe sort of journalism, maybe covering it somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Maybe presenting in the media, something like that. I just love sport. When I'm someone who picks up, we don't get many papers nowadays, but back in the day I was someone who would get the paper and turn to the back page and see. I would know about the sport, but I wouldn't have a clue what was going on in the real world.
Just the sport.
Just the sport. So
Yeah.
it would be something in sport.
Yeah, that's quite
Yeah.
cool, that.
Yeah.
Well, that's everything.
All right.
Thank you very
easy.
much. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thanks for coming. I hope
We'll have to get you on the squash court then, so you can then tell people what it was.
I don't think I do very well. I think I did play once.
Did you?
And I think there was some sort of event in my primary school. And I'm pretty sure
there was.
Remember?
We do some schools competitions
because
where
I remember
people come
Charlotte
down.
being there, and
you're right.
she was with me the whole time.
Yeah, you did well.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think your school won.
Really?
Maybe I'm looking at it with Rosie.
Yeah, I think so.
I think you did all right.
Well, thank you. Anyways.
Thanks, Jerry.
That's it.
All
Bye,
right.
guys.